Hello, hello. Welcome to the Untitled Michael and David project.
Yes, name to be determined.
Name TBD. We are going to be discussing the New England Patriots, of whom we are both fans.
Yep. Yep. First 6 weeks of the season now in the books. Not necessarily what we expected so far.
No, I'd say
Interested to break it down a little bit.
I know my expectations were exceeded. Yeah, we're gonna start off talking about the Patriots.
Yeah, I mean the one of the startling things to me about this offense is what it is versus what it was supposed to be, or at least what we thought it was going to be, and the talking heads thought it was going to be. I think most of us anticipated this was going to be a run first team that would be carried by their defense, keeping them in close games while the quarterback matures in a much more complex system that could hopefully help him elevate in the long run, and that clicks by the end of the year, and you end on a solid trajectory. And it's kind of been a bit of the opposite so far. I mean,
Yeah,
they are a team that is absolutely carried by the passing game right now. They are pretty inarguably the worst running offense in the league. And their defense is pretty average to slightly above average. They're good run
I,
defense, and they're pretty bad against the pass. I think they're 25th in EPA per pass, 30th in completion percentage. You hope that Gonzalez coming back helps that out in the long run. But this team is absolutely being carried by a 23-year-old quarterback in a way that I don't know anyone anticipated this early on.
yeah, we just were not expecting the emergence of Drake Maye as the future GOAT. If I'm, it might be too early to say, but
Yeah, and I mean the change from week one to now, it's just yeah, I thought the first few weeks of this season it would look a lot more like it looked in week one, which was a little bit of square peg and a round hole. He's going to have a tough time adjusting to an offense that is highly complex, puts a lot on the quarterback's shoulders. The best practitioner of the position, frankly, that we've ever seen, Tom Brady, not the style of quarterback that Drake Maye is naturally. So I figured that we would have fits and starts, but it seems that there's been a shift in the way they've handled the quarterback, and they've sort of empowered his strengths a little bit more, which I think you've seen successful in the league with quarterbacks like Pat Mahomes and Josh Allen, where the coaches have allowed them to sort of lean on the strengths that they already possess while they develop as pocket passers. And you can see that just visually watching these games that Drake Maye is freed up to rely on his athletic ability, his trusting in his arm and his ability to make maneuvers in and outside of the pocket athletically. And it's backed up by some of the advanced statistics. Their air yards per completion in the first 3 weeks, Drake Maye had averaged 5.6 yards, so yards the ball traveled before it hit the receiver on a completed pass. In the last 3 weeks, it's 8.07. So it's a precipitous rise in what they're allowing him to do with the football.
yeah, I remember just thinking the difference between week one and two in particular was very jarring. And it's like the Raiders aren't a very good team, right? It's not like it was like they played a tough team week one, but it felt like week one. It felt like McDaniels was trying to force Drake May into the Mac Jones offense, and
I
then just
agree. And it was much more focused, it felt like at least, on sort of the quick pass, the pre-snap read, get the ball out quickly to someone short and keep the drive moving. And I think they've opened it up. They've put him on the move a bit more. They're getting more play action involved, more boot action, and they're opening the offense up a little bit over these last few weeks for sure. And week one also weird things happen in week one, and that could be a part of it as well. Everybody's playing a little bit more tense. Look at what the Patriots did to the Bengals last year in week one before shitting the bed almost every other week. So weird things happen in week one.
yeah, like I haven't been paying attention to other teams, but I remember like the Colts were really good week one. There's no way that lasts.
A shocker to say the least at 5-1
What's
so
happening?
far.
Yeah,
Another thing that's interesting to me about this Patriots offense in terms of it's just the approach being a little different is the way that defenses are playing the Patriots to me is becoming a bit counterintuitive. So the coverages that the Patriots see most often, sort of in order from most frequent to least frequent, at least amongst these coverages, is cover three zone, followed by cover two zone, followed by cover one man in a close third with cover two, and then cover four, which just doesn't get played a ton. And cover three is becoming more of a base coverage in the NFL generally because of its flexibility. But the vast majority of the defensive snaps against the Patriots are in single high safety coverages, which is cover three zone and cover one man. And typically, they're bringing a safety into the box in single high safety to defend against the run, take away some things short. And the weaknesses are in the flats along the line of scrimmage towards the sideline and up the seams, the middle of the field. And in a way, especially in cover one man, you're sort of telling the offense we don't fear your one-on-one outside threats deep down the field. So it's heavily oriented towards stopping the run. The Patriots have had their least success in cover two, against cover two, and two high safeties generally. In terms of efficiency and negative EPA per play, it goes from most effective to least is cover two, cover four, cover three, cover one. And so you see that the two most effective defensives have been two high safeties. And I would argue that teams need to start playing more two high safeties against the Patriots because I don't think the run game is worth respecting like that. I don't believe it's a chicken or egg thing with the extra safety and single high versus the Patriots run struggles. I think the run game struggles independent of the defense a lot of the time. And in cover two, you're sort of keeping everything in front of you as a defense. You're giving up the short game. And that's what I'd want to turn Drake Maye into if I'm an opposing
Right.
defense. I want to make him make quick reads, get the ball out to a short option, and make him put together long, sustained, efficient drives, death by 1,000 cuts. And if Drake Maye can put together a 12-play drive over and over against me and beat me, so be it. But they're crushing these single high safety looks right now. They're incredibly good against deep crossers in the middle of the field, up the seams. They've had a lot of success. And, Vegas, they played about a quarter of their defensive snaps in cover two, and it was their most effective coverage against the Patriots based on EPA. They had that interception against Drake Maye, I believe, was in cover two. And so
Yeah.
I think you're going to see a shift in the way that the defenses approach this passing game.
Interesting. Why do you think why do you think we haven't seen that yet?
I just think it's too short of a sample size, and I think, it's now been sustained across multiple weeks against multiple levels of opponents. The ability to pick apart a defense down the field more with Drake Maye in this passing offense. I think it's more of a sample size of the ineffectiveness of this run game that you don't necessarily have to fear. I'd be inviting the Patriots to run against me in combination with that short passing game. Go ahead,
Right.
prove you can do it until you do it. And also the prevalence of the coverage just generally around the league. A lot more teams play out of cover three,
Right.
and I'm not 100% certain on the reasons why that is, but there's a general
Yeah, we can't
flexibility with the
can't get in
coverage.
their
But
heads.
yeah,
Interesting. I mean, because May throws just a gorgeous deep ball, right? It was so refreshing after watching Mac Jones struggle. Like the amount of
yeah,
effort it took for him to throw a deep ball versus Drake's just, wrist flicking it.
you can see the difference. It's night and day with the ability of the quarterback. There are some throws that he makes that would be picked off by the time the ball gets to its target with Mac Jones. There's just not enough behind the ball, and certainly the athleticism is at times otherworldly with Drake Maye. He's in a top tier class, both in arm talent, I think, and athleticism.
Yeah, I can't wait for Collinsworth to finally start treating him like the Patrick Mahomes that he is.
It's coming. It's coming. They love these quarterbacks, and he's going to be one that everybody loves because he's making these
Yeah.
plays. And he's quick to develop chemistry. I mean, we saw the chemistry with Hunter Henry last year, and it's really become quite a connection with Kayshon Boutte. And he's developing one with Diggs as well, who's stepped up as a leader on the team. So it's gotten to the point where I honestly I don't know that for this year, wide receiver is much of a need for this team because of what they've made use out of the guys that they have and the
Yeah.
formations that they tend to run.
There's something I've seen discussed online is there's rumors that the Patriots might be going out to get a receiver like a Raheed Shaheed or I've heard Jacoby Myers' name thrown around. I'm like, do
Yeah.
we really need I feel like we have those receivers already on our bench.
Yeah, I think a lot of the names that you see is available, Olave, like higher end names like Olave, Waddle, who else did you mention? Well, not Shaheed, but
Myers.
Myers. They're sort of exactly Myers are a little bit duplicative of Stephon Diggs,
Yeah.
who can sort of play. I
Diggs,
mean,
really.
Yeah, Diggs can play a lot in the slot. He can play in the Z. He can play the X, but he's playing a lot in the middle of the field. He's playing a lot out of the slot, and so I think they those three receivers have that sort of flexibility. And you'd have to be enough of an upgrade that you're willing to bench Kayshon Boutte, right? Like Kayshon Boutte plays 100% of his snaps at the X. If someone comes in and they're going to play more of the X along with Diggs, that's less snaps for Boutte. Obviously, I would feel less upset about Mac Hollins losing some snaps as the Z receiver. He plays 100% at that position. But to me, it's like if you can get a true outside upgrade that would justify less snaps for Boutte, then you make that deal. But otherwise, I don't know. Like AJ Brown, if AJ Brown comes available, which I
Right.
don't
Yeah.
anticipate, like you probably make that move.
Yeah.
To
But we
me,
don't
the
need
run,
like another number two guy.
no, we don't, and we don't need one of these better off in the inside of the field, inside the hashes than outside. I think you need more of a threat downfield outside.
Where we need help is really the run game.
Yeah, the run game's atrocious to say the least, and I think it's worth just like rattling off some of the rankings for some of the
Yeah.
advanced run statistics just to put into context like how true, because there's no way you can watch the league and the whole league and know how bad some of these teams are. This is like a truly bad run offense. They are 29th in rush yards over expected. This is out of 32 teams, 30th
Yeah.
in rush success rate, and they're 32nd in EPA per rush and rush DVOA, which is adjusted
The
for
two
strength
advanced
of schedule.
statistics.
Yes.
Okay.
So they are in the bottom four of any meaningful sort of run statistic that tries to encapsulate the totality of your ability to run the ball. And it's unfortunately, there are multiple reasons why I think they have the issue at multiple positions. It's both the offensive line, it's the running backs, and a little bit the tight ends as well. I mean, to the least extent, the tight ends. It just would be nice to have better blockers on the edge so you could press the edges a little bit more, help, the young Will Campbell on the left side a little bit more with more effective blocking. But the real issue is the offensive line and the running backs pretty equally. No, actually, I would say more the running backs than the offensive line, actually.
It's interesting. It's not usually that. As as an avid fantasy player myself, usually if you have a decent O line and they just plug and play these backs. That's why you always have some guy who emerges.
Yeah, the issues with the running backs are most stark and startling to me, and it's a little unexplainable in sort of cold hard fact without getting into sort of just intrinsic qualities and issues that they're having, mental reps and with the offensive line, I think you have an issue with your middle three offensive linemen, which was a little bit anticipated coming into the year, which is left guard, center, right guard. Left guard, Jared Wilson is a rookie. He's a center, and watching him play feels like he's a center long term. He lacks a functional strength in the run game at the point of attack, taking on blockers, and I think that's a little less necessary at the center position just because there's not as much one-on-one blocking at that position as there is at
Why is
guard.
it? So guards have to like block more one on like do more like pulling one
Yeah,
on one blocking.
guards pull and lead block more. Guards are doing a lot more down blocking or reach blocking a guy along the defensive line. The center is oftentimes in a combo block. He'll either be like on the backside with the guard and a double team climb to the second level, something like that. I mean, there's one-on-one blocking all the time for the center, but it's less prevalent than at guard. And I think as a result, functional strength can be hidden at center more than it can be at guard. And, Wilson's there because they don't have anybody else really who can play the position better, and because he's got an aptitude that has allowed him to move over from the position he played in college. And so credit to him on that, but the growing pains, and he's been fine in the pass game, but the growing pains in the run game are strong for him. He's not particularly effective as a puller. He's starting to give away. Sometimes a pulling guard will cheat a little bit by lining up a little bit farther back from the other lineman because he knows he's got to get his ass moving with his pull step. He's doing that. He's not really getting home as a lead blocker. So there's a lot of room for growth with him. Garrett Bradbury, I think, had a reputation coming in as not functionally the strongest center in the NFL as well. He sort of got dominated against the Saints by Devon Godshaw, old friend, and a good run defender. He had his way with him at times against the Saints. And Mike Onwenu, I think, has really been really disappointing since they paid him. I mean, they paid him to be a top guard in the NFL, I think mostly based on their situation. And he's disappointed last year and into this year. He's reportedly not in the best shape. He whiffs on a big block once or twice a game. You can count on it. And you rarely see him dominate anyone for a guard who's paid like he is. And so I wouldn't be surprised if he is a casualty of what we saw happen to a lot of players on the defensive side of the ball this offseason when the money makes more sense. But so that's the biggest issue to me is the interior run blocking. There's issues at the second level as well. For instance, I think the thing that Will Campbell can really improve on is second level blocking, getting up to the linebacker, hitting his landmarks quicker. That's how you spring a 3 or 4 yard run into a 10 or 12 yard run and put a running back in conflict with a safety to go home. And so it's
Right.
those little things, just being quicker, getting to your second level blocks. Those things should even out with, as Greg Bedard calls it, time on task, just reps and sort of
Right.
a lot of the zone blocking too. A lot of that is blocking as a bit of a unit, sort of on a train. And so it comes with reps. The bigger issues are with the running backs. And I think they're struggling for different reasons. And that's sort of borne out the eye test and with some of the numbers. I mean, Stevenson to me, and I don't know how it feels to you, but it feels like he lacks juice when he runs. Like he just there's that burst isn't there anymore when he hits a hole,
Is
and
he
you
just
can't really
old?
count on him. I think that's a open question, but there's also the fumbling, and I think he's overcompensating. And the coach has commented as well on potentially the overcompensating for the fumble issue. And if he could just stop fumbling the damn football, I mean, I don't understand that, but he's running tentatively, and so whether it's a combination of age and tentativeness or it's just all mental, he seems to just lack that juice hitting the hole. Whereas Henderson,
Yeah.
to me, it's the speed of the game and the vision and decisiveness is where he's struggling a bit.
So they almost have different issues, right?
Yeah, yeah,
One
leading
guy's
to the
like
same
two.
outcome.
Yeah. Like I saw some meme where it's like a false choice or it's like two different looking hallways, but they lead to the same room.
Yes, that's the Patriots running back situation right now, no doubt.
Yeah.
And I think, you can see that Stevenson's vision is probably a little bit better by some of the numbers. He ranks third in yards per before contact, so that's sort of measuring the ability of the running back to hit a lane and get some yards before being contacted by a
Middle
defender.
middle of the pack.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, not good. It's out of 50, but yeah, so middle of the pack. It's not where you want to be, certainly. And Henderson's 20th, and so also not at the back end of the spectrum, but you can see a little bit he's not taking what's given to him as well as Stevenson is. And to sort of underlie the point about Stevenson just not having juice is he's 50th out of 50 running backs in yards after contact. And so once he's touched by a defender, it's toast. It's over. And Henderson is 39th, so there's more of that with him, which you should be expected. He's a more explosive player. He should be, but that's also not high enough. I mean, 39 out of 50. And they're just both wildly inefficient. Stevenson is 39th in rush yards over expected, and Henderson's 48th out of 50. And so he's really leaving a lot on his plate.
Sounds like it is really is more the backs than it is the line. Like if we had better backs, we'd probably have like a middle of the road run game,
Yeah, because I
slightly
mean,
below average.
if you look at like yards before contact, which, like I said, sort of indicates an offensive line's ability to give rushing lanes to a running back to get yardage before contact, they're 16th in the league. So league average. The offensive line is league average at getting their running backs room to run before contact. They're 31st in yards after contact. So the running backs are shitting the bed all the time. They're second to
It's
last
out of
once they get
32.
touched. Out of 32,
Oh,
again, yes.
Jesus.
Yeah. So it's a
Terrible.
running back issue,
Yeah,
which is tough. I
that's
mean, you
funny because
spent
I
the
feel like
38th pick. You spent the 38th pick in the draft on a running back, and he's massively underperforming.
yeah, like normally that's a position that you kind of like go out, you're out of like you just knock it out. Like out of the gate, these guys are good. Why did he look so good in the preseason versus now?
I mean, I think there is a hysteria with football just being back in the preseason where guys are playing against Jags and guys who will be, just another guy and guys who are going to be
Future
playing in the,
accountants.
yeah, selling insurance for Arbella and I don't know, playing in the UFL. And I mean, that's being harsh. These are guys on practice squads and stuff, but he's lighting up bad competition. And now you're going from that to the Raiders defensive line and or the
I heard
Saints
there's
front.
also rumors that he might have had like some nursing some injury from a hit he took in the first game, but
It's possible, but that's life in the big leagues, I guess. I mean,
Yeah.
running backs, it's been different, but a lot of the passing backs in McDaniel's past have had issues getting acclimated early on, and I suppose that could be the area where they were trying to get him involved most, but he
Right.
struggled in pass protection as well at
He
times,
was
which was a
sold to us
strength of
as,
his.
yeah, they're like this guy, God, basically a sixth offensive tackle. And in
Yeah,
reality, he's just
he's not giving them enough reason to trust him to play more, and I think he needs more reps, but he's got to do the little things that give them trust to put him out there. Obviously, they trust to have to trust Ramondre Stevenson for some of these more intrinsic qualities in a running back, despite the fact that he can't keep the ball off the ground or make a defender miss, is sort of an indictment on the position right now. Not sort of, it's a major indictment.
that is a major indictment of Stevenson.
And I mean, it has looking forward, has long range effects on this football team to compete down the stretch, and it's not sustainable, in my
You
opinion, to
can't win in the
expect.
Northeast in the winter without a run game.
I don't know that you can win in the NFL with a quarterback as young and inexperienced as this one, surrounded by what he's surrounded with, living on the margins talent-wise, like this roster is, without the ability to control the clock and run the football in big games down the stretch. It's not sustainable. I mean, maybe they'll prove me wrong, but it doesn't feel like it.
Maybe they'll prove you wrong. And
There's
maybe
always a chance.
the soupy. There could be a soupy in the future. I'll touch one last thing. Just rookies under rookies that they don't trust. Like, why do you think Kyle Williams hasn't gotten into like where's he been? Where's
It's a
he at?
good
Where's Kyle
question.
at?
It's a good question, and I wish I had more of an understanding of why that is. I think part of it is they don't play a lot of receivers. They run a lot of two tight ends and a lot of two back sets. And so, oftentimes it's three receivers on the field. Diggs is usually on the field. If there's an X, it's usually Booty. And they like Mac Hollins' ability to block as well. And so there's not, you're sprinkling into Mario Douglas also is ahead of him. They've put him out there here and there. It seems also like a bit of a chemistry issue between him and the quarterback. They're not on the same page. They were not on the same page a couple times in this Saints game. There are a few passes where I think it's been debated whose fault it was, the quarterback or the wide receiver. They've tried to dial up a few shots for him here and there to get going, and it just hasn't worked out. There have been, I mean, listen, Drake May's play isn't perfect. There are times where he still misses open receivers and doesn't see them and makes the play harder on himself than he needs to, or he'll drift into pressure at times, which can be frustrating. And so he's missed Kyle Williams a few times, but we'll see. I mean, this is an organization that continues to struggle to acclimate young receivers into their offense, regardless of who's running it. It's frustrating. You'd hope to see more out of him in a roster in this shape, but it
Well, I
still
guess
can come.
I mean, yeah. Eventually, when we cut him, a few years from now, and he goes to the Chiefs,
Yeah, he becomes a tertiary target for Patrick Mahomes in a Super Bowl championship win. He'll be great. Yeah.
yeah,
No,
becomes a great like wide receiver four flex option for fantasy players.
I'm a little surprised we haven't seen him. I mean, they elevated Chisholm and he played kick return. I know they prefer with this kickoff rule. They've had a stated preference for a running back there. Terrell Jennings was back there as well. Gibson was kick returning most of the time before he got hurt. I would have thought that Kyle Williams would be a candidate to be on the kick return team just as a way to get him going as well and build some of that confidence up. We'll see. I don't know. Chisholm doesn't have a ton of speed for the NFL game so far, and so maybe Kyle Williams still gets a crack
Real
there,
lunch
but
tail guy.
yeah.
Okay, well, that covers the Patriots. Thank you for pouring a bunch of cold water on, my hopes and
No,
dreams.
there's no cold water because I would argue that if your dreams are just this season and you want to win a Super Bowl, I would say you've been dreaming. But if you have realistic dreams of this quarterback has always had the capability and the potential to lead this franchise in the long run. The rapid ascension here shouldn't be overlooked. The Patriots are in a better position today than they were at the start of the season, no doubt about it, with the emergence of this quarterback. And that's
Yes.
if you finish strong and you compete and hopefully you should make the playoffs at this point, and the quarterback looks like this, that's a slam dunk win of a season. And so it's hard to win a Super Bowl. It's really hard to win a Super Bowl when you're playing on the margins with this roster. I mean, you rebuilt a defense overnight. You tried to at least in a single
And
season.
did a decent job.
Yeah, and I mean, they're doing all right. They've had a lot of injury luck so far that other teams haven't had, and so that could still rear its head. I mean, we thought for a second Landry went down, that would have been a huge loss to them in their pass rush. They're really duct taped together a pass rush here on this
Yeah.
on the edge on this team. Keon White has gone into witness protection, which is a real bummer. I thought, if he could elevate into sort of a trio with Chasen and Landry, that you'd have something there pass rush
Yeah.
wise, but that hasn't materialized. So yeah, you have to. I think fans, it's easy to get excited, and you should be excited. You're in first place, and you deserve to be in first place, and you're a real playoff contender. But you're living on the margins a little too hard to be a Super Bowl contender in my
That's
eyes at
true. I
this
mean, we
point.
got a ton of injury luck, I
Mhm.
mean, we have the easiest schedule, I think, ever. Just there's never
Yeah,
been an
it's like
easier
since
schedule.
1975 or something. And the Bills play largely the same schedule. Don't forget that as well. Like they benefit from the vast majority of the schedule you're playing in terms of divisionally. They
Yeah,
play the same.
I don't think the Bills have beaten a team that's over 500.
You might be right, but we're 6 weeks in. So I would say the standings right now, someone said to me, look like 2006. It's the Indianapolis
Yeah.
Colts, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers, the former San Diego Superchargers, and your New England Patriots. Do not bury the Buffalo Bills. They're incredibly banged up. They've got a bye week there couldn't be a better time for them to have the bye. They have to get back to their identity. They're one of the most efficient running teams in the league on offense. They've got a great running back right now at the peak of his abilities in James Cook. Let Cook cook, get back to running the football. I know you're down early in some of these games, which makes it harder the last 2 weeks, but get back to what you do well and get healthy. I mean, they're incredibly banged up. Don't bury the Bills, but also, yeah, don't bury the Chiefs because the Chiefs are coming.
Yeah, really
It
wanted
feels
to this
like
year. I was really excited to bury the Chiefs.
everybody wanted to bury them, and they're getting healthy. I think they're hoping Rashi Rice comes back, immediately inserts himself as a number one target. If Worthy stays healthy, that's a number two, and they've been developing these sort of tertiary targets for Patrick Mahomes down the stretch, and that should scare you that he's got options. And with that defensive
Good.
coordinator, the talent's good enough on that side of the ball. The Chiefs scare me more than anybody in the AFC. They own it until they don't, and they
That
still own
makes
it right
sense.
now.
Yeah.
And the
Yeah,
other
they're
team,
definitely. I mean, I was a Patriots fan for the last 20 years. Like, I know I've been, I know, like, I've
the Tom
seen this.
Brady
I've just
effect.
been on like the Tom Brady effect, right? It's like
You got to
this is the Chiefs. Chiefs are just having that, they get started slowly, but they're still until proven otherwise. To me, they're still the AFC champion favorite.
Yeah, and you want to be playing your best football Thanksgiving onward. Rolling into December, you really want to be playing your best football, and that doesn't happen. It can't be achieved in September. So we've seen it before, like you said, as Patriots fans. You might finish 11 and
We're on
5,
to
but
Cincinnati,
you get your ass in gear by December and January, and suddenly you're in the AFC Championship game again. So
right?
that's the
Yeah,
Chiefs.
the
And the other
opposite of what
team,
the Steelers have been doing for the last few years.
yeah, exactly. And the other team is, I mean, it's getting to the point where uh, it may be impossible, but the Baltimore Ravens. I mean, I still think their defense has been bad, but they've been absolutely decimated by injuries. The quarterback's got to get back quickly because just standings wise, it's becoming impossible. But they have a relatively
Yeah,
easy schedule too, and it wouldn't shock me if they rattle off 5 wins in 6 weeks or something, and they're right back in the hunt again.
yeah.
There are some teams that we shouldn't bury quite yet.
Okay, so yeah, let's talk a bit more about just the overall AFC outlook. So we got the Pats, obviously clear number one in the
Yeah,
conference.
powerhouse, best quarterback in the
Powerhouse.
league. Mike Vrabel
Yeah,
revenge game this week.
true. I mean, it feels like such a trap game coming up, right? They just fired their head coach. Vrabel's coming
Yeah.
home. Landry's coming home. They've got something to prove. Things have been going too well. The trauma over the last 4 years, I still can't quite like it's not undone yet. Like I need a string of victories.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. I mean, the last few weeks should give you hope that they're now capable of stringing together victories against all comers and sort of and build some consistency. I don't know. I haven't can't tell you I watched a lot of Titans, but they don't have a ton of guys that I'm afraid of. They should win this game.
Yeah,
Vrabel does not seem like the type of coach who loses a game like this. So I
that's
think he
true.
I think he wins them. The dead coach bounce, I don't know how much they're going to get out of it. They're not a particularly talented team, but we'll see, any given Sunday.
So let's rank the rest of the AFC. Let's talk about contenders,
Mm,
pretenders. Chargers have been on my mind. I
yep,
have Herbert and McConkey in my fantasy team, benching Herbert, May all the way.
that's good to have the option.
But they have lost both their tackles, and it seems
Yep.
like the last couple of weeks they've really been struggling with just like, you know existing.
I still, like I said, I mean, I think the Chiefs are the best team in the AFC, so that goes for that division as well. And I know the Chargers bested them week one, but we also talked about how weird things happen week one. And they're a playoff team. They're a team the Patriots have to be wary of in terms of a spot. A lot of big games down the stretch for both them and the Chiefs in terms of determining superiority between the two of them in their division. But I mean, they're definitely a playoff team, it feels like.
Yeah, it's hard to take the Chargers seriously after watching them for 25.
They are one of those teams where it's like, I'll believe it when I see it, and I haven't
Yeah,
seen it. So
yeah. Now, speaking of things I am seeing and am not believing, can you explain the Colts to me?
I wish I could. I honestly haven't watched any Colts, and I need to, because whatever's happening there is quite something. They're an incredibly efficient team, it seems like.
Did
You
was,
know,
was it
here's the thing. The clock is going to strike midnight at some point, right? Daniel Jones turns back into the pumpkin. I've heard the comparison, and it gives a very big Vikings vibe to me, where you just go like, I don't know, you go 14-2, and then you just absolutely crap your pants, leading into the playoffs and lose early. And so it's like neat, maybe they'll have a banner hanging season by Indianapolis standards, but I don't know, man. It's hard for me to be scared of them. They're winning football games.
Yeah, they're incredibly efficiently, right? They're top of every ranking. Like it's Daniel Jones and Drake May appear to be the best, QBs in the league, and
And Sam Darnold.
it's Sam Darnold.
I don't know what world we're living in, but
Oh my God.
yeah.
Like at least, like I think it's bad that I'm like, like our receivers leave and like they're better elsewhere. Like, can you imagine being a New York sports team? Like Sam Darnold leaves?
Being a Jets fan, they're worse. They're getting worse. They
That's
can't do
fair.
anything.
Oh, that's just got tickets for the Jets Patriots at the end of the season in New York. I'm very excited. So just like I'm really hoping it's going to be the Patriots putting the nail in the coffin of an 0-17 season.
Oh, that would be quite something. That would be fun. It'd be a
Yeah.
lot of trash
Once we
talk.
get
Be a
better at
dangerous game to go to.
I'm gonna be so out of pocket.
Yeah.
It's gonna be no. I'm gonna be a liability. I mean, when we get better at this whole like podcasting thing, I'd love to. I would pull up like a list and just be like, "This is there any game that the Jets could win?"
I mean,
We'll work on
it
that. This is our
doesn't look like
inaugural
it right
cast.
now. They threw for
No,
45 yards last week or something like that. I mean, they're setting the game back a
no,
couple of
they
decades.
threw their net. Okay, they threw for 45 yards, but they took 55 yards in sacks for
Yeah,
a
so their net
net
was negative.
-10.
Brutal, dude. Just brutal. I mean, but that's your whole existence as a Jets fan, right? Except for the 2 years where
Yeah,
they had the best defensive player in the world. Like, other than that, they've just been utter dog shit. It's longer than we've been alive. So,
remember when they had hope for like 4 plays and then Rogers?
yeah, that was fake hope
That was
anyways.
so.
That was never going
That
to work.
was. I think I told my friend, I'm like, this is your year, man.
Never their year.
It's never not funny. It's never not funny.
Although Rex Ryan might be getting a job soon, so who knows?
That's exciting. Foot massager?
Yeah, I mean, the Jets and the Dolphins are becoming tomato cans at just the right time for the ascending New England Patriots. All is
Mm.
right with the AFC East, as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah, things are finally going back to normal. I
Especially
saw
because the
a,
Patriots have the best quarterback in the AFC East as well, like good old days. I don't know. We'll see.
I mean, we just have a younger Josh Allen.
Yeah, he's an interesting mix of Herbert and Allen. Rankings is tough though. I mean,
The AFC just kind of sucks, right? Like, this is like,
it just
if
feels
I go,
so in flux, is what it is. It's just like, there's a lot of teams that it's just like you could easily be like, are they going to be there in that position in, 3, 4 weeks? Patriots, it's tougher because of the schedule, but it's like, are the Bills going to be behind the Patriots in 4 weeks? Are the Patriots going to be in first place? Are the Chiefs going to be in first place? Are the Colts going to be, looking like they look relative to the AFC in 3, 4 weeks? I think a lot
I know
can
who
be
we
in
have.
flux.
I know who we haven't covered, which is the Pittsburgh Steelers.
Yeah, I don't know
The
what to
ghost of
make of
Aaron
them.
Rodgers. Aaron
The
Rodgers
ghost
is
of
playing. He's
2022. I mean, they got all these guys who were just like all pros like 4 years ago.
yeah, but like Rodgers is playing like a bottom 30 QB. Like he's not playing well. Like if you look at any of his advanced stats, he's not playing particularly well. It's just I think Mike Tomlin just has this real will, this will to win.
Yeah, I mean, and they're a talented roster. They've got a lot of good players on it. I
They
only
beat
know
the
from the
Patriots.
Patriots, right? And
I
from
mean,
the
beat
Patriots
ourselves.
perspective, yeah, I'm not necessarily scared of them, but um, that's another team who could get sharper down the stretch, which is a little frightening just given their talent level. But I don't know. I'm not sure what to make of the Steelers yet.
Fair enough. Let's do one more topic
All
and
right.
then call it a day on our first podcast. Trade deadline's coming up.
Mm,
Apparently, I'm hearing from unreliable Twitter sources that the Patriots are buyers. We're buying everything in sight.
yeah,
Let's say you're the GM. What are you buying? What are you looking for? What are you
I
shopping for,
think
Dave?
I think the Patriots, if they're adding anyone, you're going to be looking at guys that are in pick swap deals where it's like you give me your third string running back and your seventh round pick, and I'll give you my sixth round pick. I don't think that they're going to go and expend high draft capital, and by that I mean a first or second round pick, on any additions to this year's team unless a superstar wide receiver shakes loose that
And AJ
matches.
Brown.
Right. That's the perfect example, I suppose. But one that matches whatever profile they're looking for. And I don't know what they're looking for. I can only say what I would be looking for, which is sort of that X upgrade. So AJ Brown. Other than that, maybe if there's like a young pass rusher that you can see being a part of your mix for the next 3, 4 years that you could add for like a third or fourth round pick is something I'd be interested in. But I'm not interested in like veteran rentals. And, I think a lot of people view the Patriots being in contention again and think about it like it's the baseball trade deadline where like I'm just going to flip a couple picks or prospects in baseball and I'm going to add a rental. And he all of a sudden I'm better at safety. So here comes my run to the Super Bowl like it's October in baseball. And I don't think it works like that. And I don't think it's going to work like that for a team that needs its draft picks because it has such little controllable depth on the roster. And so,
Yeah.
I don't expect anything major. Maybe you add a couple of, like I said, pick swap type players to bolster your roster now. And if you find a sort of a young player that's attractive towards your future, you up the ante a little bit.
Heard
But
the name Brees Hall being thrown around.
I mean, I don't think it's going to happen because I don't think the Jets would do it. But the Jets, as we just discussed, are a dog dog shit franchise. And so if the owner's kid is on Madden and says, this trade works, then there's a chance it happens. But otherwise, in the division, I don't know that it would happen. It would take the Patriots being willing or having hammered out an extension probably for him upon receipt, because otherwise you're not going to give up like a third or fourth round pick for a running back. But that I don't think it's going to be a player like that, but it is the type of running back that they need, which is first and second down. If you look at Gibson, I think Gibson, like 24 of his 25 carries or something like that, came on first and second down. So you really want that split back on early downs with Ramondre Stevenson. I think someone more in like the Jerome Ford sphere is more likely a guy who is like a third string running back who the current team doesn't need. Devin Singletary, Damian Pierce, those kinds of sort of depth running backs.
People who are currently available on like the waiver wire in fantasy leagues.
Yeah, because largely there are two running backs ahead of them. Like in Cleveland, they have the two young running backs, Judkins and Sampson. They don't need Jerome Ford. Houston has Chubb and Woody Marks. They can afford to move a running back. So yeah, I could see, like I said, a pick swap type of running back, but they're not going to empty the chamber on draft picks these next 2 years to
No.
add to a run this
Yeah.
year. I don't think
Yeah.
that's
Because
their internal
again,
expectation isn't to go to the AFC Championship game.
no, I mean, my hope for this year was to see Drake May not shit himself for an extended period of time. I mean, I mean, that's it. Like, you could end the season tomorrow and we've already exceeded my expectations. Like, I wasn't expecting him to be playing like a top five quarterback at this
Well,
point.
which is part of the beast of football is that it can still happen and it's a long season. So The
That's
season
true.
doesn't end today and doesn't guarantee that it ends on
We
a
might
totally
name this
positive
podcast
trajectory.
Cold Water with Dave.
Pump the brakes.
Pump the
The
brakes
Pump
with
the
Dave and
Brakes
Mike.
Patriots podcast.
Oh, that's so good.
Sponsored by
Oh,
Dunkin'
okay.
Donuts eventually.
Hey, running up by America. America runs on Duncan. This podcast runs on Duncan. Duncan, pump the brakes.
Yeah, pump the brakes.
Brakes with the giant shit. Oh, man,
Well,
all right.
that was fun, man. I mean, nothing that I can think of. I think we covered pretty much
Yeah, I
everything
guess a
right about now.
preview of what do you want to see? Brable does his like three things. He's three ways to not win, three keys to winning.
Mm.
Like he's predicting elections.
Yeah.
What do you want to see about? Because here's what we're gonna do. I'm gonna ask you what you want to see against the Titans. Dave, what do you want to see against the Titans? And then next week we'll discuss, what happened in the Titans game means.
Yeah. I
You know,
haven't
are
thought.
you a big dum dum?
Yeah. I wish I had prepared thinking about the Titans more because I really haven't gotten there.
All right,
Um,
we can do it next week.
and I'm just trying to think of, sort of off the cuff thing that I might be able to add. I mean, yeah, here's the thing that I'd like to see is the run game get going. I don't care who the opponent is. You got to see the run
Yeah,
game get going. And that's going to be the single biggest determinant of their, as my cat flips out because it's almost time for him to eat, single biggest determinant of their ability to make a long run, I think, and a sustained run and be a sustainable, ethical offense is to be able to run the football. So let's see if that can improve. I don't know the Titans' run numbers on defense, but they can't be too great because they're a pretty bad football team.
pretty bad team.
Yeah, I'd like to
Pretty
see
bad
that.
team.
I wouldn't mind a turnover or two on defense. I don't know. I just feel like we could use a few more. Maybe I'm
Yeah,
wrong. I don't know what their turnover rate is, but it's always good when you're making plays on the ball.
would be good. You don't want to use up all your turnover luck on the Titans.
No, but get some productivity. I don't know. But just,
Yeah,
stack wins, man. This is an easy
gotta
schedule. You got to
win.
stack wins. It's just this is the only game you can play, and so you got to win this game, and then you move on to the next one, and you keep stacking wins. So,
Great. Okay, so then yeah, I'll see you back next week.
all right, sounds good to me, man.
Thank you for joining. Thanks for doing this, man. I'm excited. I'm gonna go
Yeah,
edit this.
we'll pump the brakes.
Hey, pump the brakes.
Peace.
I kind of like that. Peace.